we're back. Welcome to Trekosophy 2013. The Star Trek Philosophy Podcast is back. We're up and running, and we're ready to bring you a lot of great topics tonight. Joining me this evening is our technical guru, providing us with 1.21 gigawatts of power. It's Chris McGee.
Great Scott!
And our fearless leader, who is his own grandpa, come with him if you want to live, it's Ben McLean.
Hey, you know that picture of the empty field from Back to the Future 3? I took that picture.
And I am Bill Allen, a.k.a. the guy in the red shirt. And we're going to open up our new year by talking about time travel. I guess to start us off, we should talk about the different kinds of time travel as they have been used in film and cinema and whatnot.
And novels and everything else.
Yes, and all the various sci-fi mediums. And as we were brainstorming prior to this show, we came up with a rough list that has basically 4 kinds of time travel. There's a few variations on each kind, but basically there are, when it comes to the rules for time travel and what happens when you time travel, there's 4 kinds of time travel out there. First,
now be aware, listeners, this is our list. This isn't like the definitive list of time travel rules. You know, there could be so many other kinds that we haven't thought of, but this is what we've thought of.
We're trying to create like the most generic category, so there might be specific variants that give it a slightly different favor, but we're trying for the nice generic time travel rules. There's the first one, and probably the most common to be used for time travel in movies, is the Back to the Future style, where you can go back in time and change events. And then when you return to the present, things have changed.
Mm-hmm. And during that type, you could actually do something really bad and like kill it off your own mother, and suddenly you're not born anymore.
Right, and then you have to go back in time and fix it before you completely undo all of reality. Careful not to run into yourself or whatever else other warnings Doc Brown likes to issue. This was variations of this were used for stuff like the butterfly effect, frequency. In those cases, they're just sending messages or memories through time, and they actually have some experience of past and future, both versions of it. Whereas for Back to the Future, they only know their own home time when they change things, which is how they know things are wrong.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's essentially the first type.
That's the first type. The second kind of time travel is the alternate universe theory of time travel. This was used by Michael Crichton for his little time travel excursion novel, came out a few years ago. Timeline. Thank you. You can travel back in time to any point in history you want, but nothing you do, even if you change the course of history and everything, nothing you do will actually alter your past, because you're traveling to an alternate dimension. You're traveling to a parallel world, or you're creating a parallel world by traveling in time. Your home future, your home present is still the same. You're just altering the past of some other universe, some other dimension. This was used for Michael Crichton's Timeline. It was also used for that show Time Tracks, if you guys remember it. And there's been a few other variations of this theme.
Yeah, Paul Anderson's The Time Patrol is notable in this category.
Yes.
And on one of the earlier ones, I guess there's a couple. There was one thing I forgot to mention about the specifically Back to the Future style, and that is it creates this bizarre concept of a reality distortion wave, in which instead of the consequences of your actions immediately taking effect, they take time from the time traveler's subjective perspective to catch up with them. And that's just totally crazy. I mean, it makes no rational sense at all, but it makes for some very dramatic scenes, like, Marty's at the dance and his hand starts fading out or whatever,
Or Quantum Leap, Sam and Al can give him the odds.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Quantum Leap memories was the one where Sam leaps back in time to Al. Al was accused of murder when he was just a young lieutenant. And as they're investigating the case, the odds that he gets convicted keep going up and up and up. It's like, oh, Sam, they're saying there's a 95% chance that I'm going to be found guilty and I'm going to be court-martialed. And then it's 96%, 97%, 98, 99. And up until that point, Al's there. And as soon as it says 100% chance of conviction, all of a sudden it's no longer Al giving Sam advice. It's some stuffy English dude.
That's interesting. I haven't watched Quantum Leap. Not out of decision to avoid it. It's just I just haven't got the chance to really dig into it.
One of these days we'll have to do more Quantum Leap. But anyway, we need to get back to our list.
Right.
We did the change your history version. We did the parallel universe version. The third version of time travel is the
predestination paradox.
The predestination paradox. Whatever you do when you travel back in time is what you were meant to do. You were always supposed to go back in time. You didn't know you were secretly part of the events leading up to the assassination of JFK, but you were. Or you didn't know that you were the reason why the Normandy invasion was successful.
Or you didn't know that because you taught the prophets about the nature of linear existence, the prophets decided to have a son who would be you.
Exactly. There you go, a nice Star Trek reference for it. You were always meant to be part of that history, even if you didn't recognize yourself from the history books. There you were. And then there's the fourth version of time travel. We'll call it the wibbly wobbly timey wimey version. There are certain events that are fixed and unchangeable. No matter what you do, they're going to happen. If you were to kill Hitler, some other dude would become Hitler, and you'd still have a Hitler even if you killed Hitler as a baby. And there are other events that you can change, and it's no big deal. It's sort of a reverse of the butterfly effect. Butterfly effect says if you step on a butterfly 1 million years ago, you've altered so many food chains and food supplies that you'll wipe out whole species in the future.
Yeah.
But other theories say there's 5 million butterflies in the world. If you kill one, what it did would just get done by some other butterfly, and there's this slight elasticity to the destiny of events. It's a generic kind of destiny and not a specific destiny. You can't really wipe out a whole species by killing one organism because his cousin will end up marrying that girl and giving birth to whatever the next species is. So tiny changes can be absorbed and accepted and don't alter history. Big changes just can't happen.
Yeah, and of course, you call it the wibbly wobbly theory, but which sort of thing happens depends more on which Doctor you're watching and what episode than there's to try to pretend there's any real consistency to the Whoniverse is no, there isn't.
Well, we're assuming that people are know what we're talking about. We're talking about Doctor Who, where a lot of time travel takes place.
Yeah.
They've gotten better with their continuity and consistency than what they had back in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. In fact, I just finished watching the episode where David Tennant makes his first appearance Christopher Eccleston just regenerated. So I haven't gotten to the wibbly wobbly stuff yet.
Yeah, it's one of those phrases that's probably going to haunt that David Tennant for the rest of his life. Because everybody still says wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, and I think he said it twice in the course of the show, and that was it.
Matt Smith still says it. Matt Smith, the 11th, he still says.
Yeah, but he's still trying to shake off that whole "I've got to live up to all the other doctors." By the way, I'm the doctor too.
I don't think he is. He has really made his own.
Well, let's save that for our Doctor Who podcast.
Yes.
We need to have that one of these days. Anyway, so that's the different.
So those are the
sure.
Yeah, those are the 4. Well, wait, that's 3 of the 4. Did we do all 4?
Actually,
yet?
that was 4. Well, was the 4th one. There are offshoots like frequency is very similar to one of the other ones. You can send info from the future to the past, but the people that sent the info can remember both versions if the timeline has changed. That sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. And then there's Bill and Ted, who are, I think there's firmly falling into the predestination category. They're just
yes,
they're
molesting and abusing that like crazy. But it's we'll remember to tell ourselves to do this so that it's in place and it goes off right now. So there's yeah, dude. All we got to do is remember to tie a sandbag to the roof to fall down and knock the gun out of his hand, and then we win.
And the the Planet of the Apes series, that's definitely a predestination sort of thing.
The whole thing, yeah. Planet of the Apes has got all these different predestination paradoxes going through all those films.
Yeah, that's an interesting one that we might have to dedicate a whole show to just for itself, because the whole
because you're really big on Planet of the Apes, Bill.
Battle for the Planet of the Apes, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Well, pretty much it was Escape, Rise, and Battle were the 3 big ones with the predestination thing.
Yeah. And one of the things, by the way, all of these time travel rules, they all assume that you can go into the past. Whereas, obviously, scientifically, in the 21st century, we know that it is impossible to go back in time, but it is theoretically possible to go forwards in time if you accelerate close to the speed of light. Then you don't age, but everyone you ever know does. That's essentially going into the future.
Well, we've had the big discussion about the Vulcan Science Institute saying time travel is impossible with Brandon.
Oh, yeah.
I think that time travel is, or at least the backwards history-changing sort of time travel is impossible for non-scientific reasons. I think it makes a sort of messy universe. It sort of seems to destroy the whole concept of moral responsibility if there is if you can and free will. If you can erase someone's choices like that.
See, I'd say it kind of adds a layer to it. It increases the complexity of free will and moral responsibility. I mean, I don't think it's possible yet, but I've got my fingers crossed that it might be.
Well, look, if it's no, wait, it's time travel. Either it's possible, period, or it's not, period.
Okay, it's possible.
If it ever becomes possible, then it will have been possible.
Okay, then I'm in the it was possible because it will be possible, so it is possible category.
And listeners, if you're getting a headache, you're not alone.
Take 2 of these and call me in the morning or in the evening or in the afternoon or whenever. We're filming this at night. You're listening to it on your morning commute, and somebody else is listening to it for their 5 o'clock cocktail hour.
Yes.
That's time travel.
And the time travel folks, they're listening to it yesterday.
Yes.
So anyway, we were wanting to get to, after all this goofiness, we're wanting to get to where does Star Trek's time travel rules fall in these categories, and then what are the different instances of time travel being used by different characters, and when was it the right thing to do and when wasn't it?
I think for Star Trek, they're generally falling into the Back to the Future category of time travel. The past
I
can
agree.
be changed.
Although
And
every once in a while you'll hit the predestination one, like such as what was the one where Ben Cisco went back in time for those 2 episodes?
Yeah,
I think that was more of a pulling the whole "we've messed up the future, now we've got to fix it" bit, because he wasn't supposed to die, so he had to pretend to be him to get things straightened back out, more than a predestination thing.
the guy. Wait, no, wait. If I remember the one that Chris is talking about, Cisco becomes this famous historical leader.
Gabriel Bell.
Oh yes, Gabriel.
Past tense, parts 1 and 2.
And someone
That's
remarks at the beginning of the past tense part 1 that he looks like the guy. And
No, that was actually a different episode. That was
Yeah, that was
a season later when Rom is on his way to, or when Nog, is on his way to Earth to join the Federation, join the Starfleet. He's studying Earth
Little
history
Green
on his
Men.
flight. Little Green Men was the episode.
oh
and
yeah.
He's looking at the history book. Doesn't this picture of this Gabriel Bell look like Cisco? And Quark replies, all humans look alike.
That's funny. Okay, I guess I didn't remember that then. So I guess it's not predestination paradox, or not necessarily. It isn't specifically shown there. But still, all of DS9 has got a big predestination paradox of Cisco's relationship with the prophets that I mentioned earlier.
Yes, his mother and his birth, that whole final season saga.
What was the first instance of time travel in Star Trek? And I don't mean within the Star Trek universe. I mean on television.
probably City on the Edge of Forever. Wouldn't you agree, Bill?
Yeah, I was trying to remember if it was City on the Edge of Forever or if it was the Stuck in the 1960s episode. It was City on the Edge of Forever was first, yes. And then there was the one where they were stuck in the 60s and accidentally hijacked a pilot.
Edge of Forever, that's where Kirk's girlfriend gets shot in the past, right?
McCoy.
Oh, McCoy's girlfriend.
Well, no, wait, it was
No,
Kirk.
it was
I'm
Kirk's
sorry.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
yeah, I was
McCoy
gonna
went
say,
nuts.
Oh,
Yeah. McCoy
Yeah.
went nuts from a drug overdose and jumps through the Guardian of Forever, this old mystical portal that is pretty much the iconic time travel symbol for pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Actually, I take it back. Tomorrow is Yesterday aired first. That's the one where they took the pilot from the 1960s something.
See, I wasn't sure because I thought that came later because they were trying to do a spin-off of Gary 7 out of that one.
That was Assignment Earth,
Oh.
second season.
Well, the philosophy of time travel ethics for Starfleet, they have, it's basically the same sort of prime directive thing. Don't mess around in time, but if you do mess around in time, then make sure you get to go shake famous people's hands for no reason, because that made so much sense.
Which was demonstrated very well in Trials and Tribulations.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, it's. Can you blame him? I mean, if you had the opportunity, wouldn't you shake Lincoln's hand on his way into the theater? I mean, warning him might not be a good move, but I mean, Mr. President, it's an honor to meet you. Let me hold the door for you, sir. You do something. I mean, how can you go back to 1959 and not go watch Elvis Presley on the Ed Sullivan Show?
Yeah, there was a great one that dealt with the Lincoln thing in Adventures in Odyssey, where this kid sort of makes friends with this guy who's an out-of-work actor, and it turns out in the end of the episode that he's made friends with John Wilkes Booth and didn't know it. Except that it's in a sort of holodeck type thing, so it's not real time travel, but it was close though.
Yeah, you see this a lot in Quantum Leap as well, where Sam will give the lyrics to Peggy Sue, for example, to Buddy Holly.
He tells Stephen King about this he tells little Stevie about the strange dream he has, and Stevie turns out to be Stephen King, who uses it for his novel. shows Michael Jackson his moonwalk.
Dancing. Yep.
Yeah, he meets a young Michael Jackson auditioning for the Jackson 5.
Wait, weren't they a family act?
Yes, but the Family Act had to audition somewhere. So while this
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
little
audition
kids,
for the Jackson 5. I was like,
or
that
sorry,
didn't
yeah,
make sense.
the Jackson 5 was auditioning for becoming famous, and
It's like
he
if
just
you,
sees this kid in the bathroom and shows him a few moves, and they happen to be Michael's moves.
Which always seemed a little out of place in that episode, but anyway.
it's
We'll
like
save that for our Quantum Leap podcast.
yeah. Well, it's like it's just sounded funny. You know, you have to audition if you're successful, then you'll be part of the family.
Well, they did have like 7 kids, and there
'Cause
were
it's
only
gonna be
5 in the Jackson 5, so you got to wonder. Maybe they did.
Yeah.
Anywho, back to Star Trek.
Okay, so leave things alone is the main idea, but when characters don't always do that. There have been a number of times when people have purposefully tried to change things in Star Trek.
Sometimes it's because it's they're trying to fix something somebody else messed up. Other times it's I guess there are a few times when they thought it would be a good idea.
Even in Trials and Tribulations, it was what's his name that went back trying to kill Kirk.
Right. Usually when they're changing history, quote unquote, it's the bad guys trying to change history and the good guys trying to fix it. Yeah. Janeway went back to the 1990s at one point. The cast of the Enterprise went back to the year 2000, and they went back to World War II. But that was just the worst. Oh,
we try not to think about that.
Now. That was. I mean,
that was uncalled for.
Yeah, setting aside.
I hated Enterprise in general.
Well,
but I really love World War II, so I thought that one was fun.
It was a fun little twist on it, but that whole, okay, you stop this one event 5 years after history's been completely wrecked, but it's going to go back and fix everything, so nobody's even going to know history was wrecked. You know, it's just, it kind of, I'm sure there might have been like 4 more episodes about trying to correct everything to get history back on track, but they really just ignored even their own internal continuity, and that's the one thing that can wreck a good time travel story. There are rules for the mechanics of it, and if you start just throwing them aside, that's when things tend to make people say, wait, that doesn't work that way.
Yeah, Doctor Who gets to do it, but no one else.
Yeah, but he's he can sort of hand wave it away. He's got 15 different bits of alien technology, and they all use different techniques. As long as the rules for any particular technique remain consistent.
Well, no. As long as within the same episode, Doctor Who's rules remain somewhat consistent.
Okay.
On a narrative level, then it's okay.
Right. But Star Trek generally had one surefire. There were lots of ways to go back in time, usually involving advanced alien technology. The aliens were always going back in time. For humans, the only way to really do it was to go past warp 10. It was to either use a black hole or a star to slingshot yourself through time.
Yeah, and let's not even pretend that made sense.
Right. Well,
it's
going past warp 10 slightly makes sense because of Einstein's theory of relativity, but even then, that's pushing it.
Right. No, I meant the whole slingshotty thing.
Oh, the slingshot, yeah, then that doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's just a maneuver to build up enough speed beyond what your engines can actually produce by using the curvature of space-time and the gravity of a super dense object to achieve the most possible acceleration.
And somebody picked up popular mechanics and wrote down a few buzzwords, and that's how we got that.
It's slightly more consistent than a lot of them who are just like, yes, well, H.G. Wells. What was his mystery element that
rose quartz
his time machine? Yeah, rose quartz. Just happened to find the right frequency.
Well, it's the 19th century, man. I mean, it's steampunk. Gotta love it.
But
all right.
But yeah, they throw in a little Einstein relativity, because even according to Einstein, if you can somehow go faster than the speed of light, according to Einstein, according to the math anyway, that you would go back in time, because that time dilation thing, the faster you go, the slower time moves for you relative to the rest of the universe. Hit the speed of light and it's slowed to 0. Go faster than the speed of light and it's in negative numbers.
Yeah.
That's the theory.
And of course, Star Trek has things moving faster than light, but not. It's got
subspace. It's their
it's
workaround
got
for it.
Considerable speed between the speed of light and this sort of absolute speed that Einstein's talking about.
That's
so
the warp field. It bends. It creates a special field around the ship that helps prevent space-time mishaps. I think in the very first episode in The Menagerie, Captain Pike, this is one of those weird Star Trek trivia things that always stuck in my head. He flips on his intercom and he addresses the ship. Attention all hands, we are going to be traveling to such and such planet at time warp factor 7. And that's how he says it. In later episodes, they just say warp 7, warp 6, warp 99, whatever they happen to be traveling. Back in the 60s, yeah, they did have a couple of episodes where the ship was traveling at warp 93 or something because of alien tinkering.
Well,
but
sorry.
All right.
But yeah, there's a limit to how far you can bend space, and bend it too far, and you go back in time. That's generally the mechanics of it for Star Trek. Ironically enough, we've run out of time, or should I say, out of time, to keep the license plate Back to the Future theme going. But anyway, we're out of time for today. We're trying to keep these short and sweet and make them more effective for you. So today we've laid out the basic ground rules for what time travel is and how it works. Join us next week as we get into the ethics of time travel. Once you've figured out whether you can, the question becomes whether or not you should. So tune in next week at whatever time and whatever part of space you happen to be visiting in, and join us as we take you back to the time travel topic. Thank you for listening. Check us out on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, send us an email at trekosophy@gmail.com. Check us out in the iTunes store, leave us a review. We love the feedback we're getting, and we'll try to make these things better for you fans. Thank you and good night.
I'm more at 52% at this point.
Well, you had a half hour of nothing but my voice on there. That'll fry any motherboard.
Oh.
It's like you play a rock band record backwards and you get messages from the devil. Play a recording of me backwards and you get
messages
the
from
blue
the
screen
devil.
of death. Yes. I'm the digital devil.
This is the first time I've ever owned a color TV in my life.
You got shoulders and a question mark for a head.
So, if it's rap you like, but you're a hipster, does that make you a hip-hopster?
Yeah, kind of. Something Star Trek-y, maybe.
Well, there are smart people out there now who have more facts, and there are some of us who have no clue whatsoever and have to look up everything on IMDb.
I'm totally clueless on this subject, to be honest.
Yeah, everybody's on mute except for the one guy who needs to shut up.
Well, then you got yourself a color TV. You can mark that off your bucket list.
Yeah, stuff I want to get. Now, and I should actually maybe watch more Star Trek from now on.
If you play a Shakespearean sonnet backwards, what it's saying is, Trekosophy is awesome.